Our second presenter is Yuri Feliciano, Innovation Advisor to the Minister of Tourism and Public Health, Aruba e-Government Pilot Project Manager. Topic of his presentation will be Aruba Health App, Innovation During a Pandemic. I introduce you, and Yuri, please start. Give your presentation.
Hi. How are you? Yes, good morning. It's pretty early for me in Aruba. I wanted to do this presentation. We do have connections with Lithuania. I personally lived in Lithuania for a while, for a couple of months. So I wanted to share my screen and go over certain things we've done within the pandemic, especially with the Aruba Health app, and things about security that had to happen with the last 2 years here. So first, I want to thank Cyberthon. It's a great initiative going on for a couple of years. The involvement of Aruba, yes, it's by accident or not, but it's a nice collaboration that we do have. So thank you. The Aruba, we all know it was a world pandemic in 2020, started. For Aruba in March of 2020 had to shut down. So for us, 90% dependency on tourism is an important part. It's 90% of our economy that comes from tourism. So the shutdown was directly affecting, I think IMF said we were the third country that would be most affected by a pandemic. But they also said in the last month, swift policy response to an unprecedented shock. So we did have a return, and we are on a nice path towards recovery. I think we are one of the top in the world right now. We have recovered at 80, 90. And if it wasn't for Omicron, we would have had a nice January also at over 70. But we are recovering, so we have a good track record of that. And part of that, and I think very important part of that, was the digitalization that we did from pre-pandemic and when we opened again in the June of 2020. As from March to June to June, we were shut down. There was no planes coming in. Two very important part of that is the ED portal, so embarkation, debarkation portal for the island, which has been done. It was a paper, so we made it digitally. So you go, you register, and from then on, we can also connect the health part of it. So you have one place you go, you digitally connect, you send your information, and it's handled by the authorities. Once you come in, you also have to be registered so they can match your ID. The second part of that was Aruba Health app. We had we needed a way in order to register and connect tourists that came in that had to take a test on the island. Because we were one of the first to open back, and we wanted to be very secure about it. As again, tourism is a big part of the island, travel is a big part of the island. The connection between how the tourist comes in and how we handle the test clarification, or more importantly, at that point was in order for us to handle the results of the test in a very quick and way. So we had to develop something, and we came up with the health app. It's a real collaboration. I think one of the most important part of the Aruba Health app is that between all the entities, government and others that are involved in this project, it has really come from COVID. So you see all this collaboration that might have not, it was very hard to happen pre-COVID, happened very quickly. In matters of months, and in order to have a real collaboration for us to open again as a tourist island. So you have a collaboration of the health department, the ministry, immigration, civil aviation, tourism authorities, the laboratories, so multiple laboratories, and third-party vendors. So you have a lot of software, different software companies that had to all, in many ways, we ran them together in order to accomplish a lot of small but very important parts of different phases of the health app. The border we had to open again in June. It was decided, so we need to come up with a way in order to move the users that would come, so the travelers that would come, towards testing. They would have to test. We knew that, especially starting in the beginning with the restrictions that the Dutch government gives the island, we had to come up with a different solution. So we had the testing lab at the airport. So you would come in, do the test there, and you would go to your hotel, stay in your room for about 8 hours, and you will receive a message that you can check your test result. So this was the important part of how we started in order to connect to the health app and have the solution that we use today in COVID management and future developments. So the testing of inbound passengers, registration, results, and the connection with the ED card was very important, and how we manage that between the different entities also, because you are speaking about different parts of the government with different levels and different structure. The info, health, and we decided in order to have one part of the recovery of the island also was with the tourism authority and the ministry. They built a health and happiness code. This would be done between the tourism and the health department in order to have a directory of places that were covered. So let's say, okay, you have restrictions, all these restrictions on restaurants, but they have a code that would, so that was also included in the app. And we kept expanding on the test result, because as that connection between the lab and the health department was so important in order for the tourists to receive the results and have certain parts. You have personal and you have your health data connected to it. We started COVID testing outbound as the restrictions for other countries started coming in. So we had to have the outbound passengers also test. And it would be better for the health department to control the testing and analyze, because you do have the restriction on traveling again if you're positive. So it had to be incorporated in the system in different way. And then in December of 2020, started the vaccine campaign, as we had a lot of the traveling users, but because of the locals testing using the app was originally designed for the tourism part, but just by flux of the pandemic, the locals had to use, so we had to switch directly to the users. So we had a lot of adoption already on the local side, and the ministry and the health department decided then to add the vaccine management within the app also. So you would already have also that part, the registration of the vaccine as it was then distributed in different parts. So you would not receive so much. So you would have to register. And I think, as we all know, it was based on age or depending on the restriction. Inventory, we had inventory already. You had to link, which in the end, right now came into effect, as we do have to deal with fraud also in the cases, same as everywhere else in the world. And certification, especially in the beginning, everything is done on our own end. There was no DCC at that point. Even US, there was no smart health card or what they use today. So we build our own certification in order for us to have give the user that took the vaccine a better knowledge for outside. What was very apparent from the beginning was how important it would be to have verifiable data within the system, as testing is done, especially in the whole world, by many different laboratories. So you have different laboratories. You have small, big, medium, but you have many of them. So there is no standard to it, and you have a lot of paper. The health issues come a lot of paper, which is a lot of unmanageable, as we all know, within security. So it was very apparent for us, for the health department, to have access to as much verifiable data as possible. We started projects with Common Pass, which they were using at that time, the Smart on Fire. Now it's all smart health cards, so that you have verifiable, and that they also set that part of trust. So you have what we have now, the DCC also. So the digital corona certificate as we use it. And you have CETA with Cardia. So you have different ways of accessing verifiable data. You still deal with certain trust, but it's electronic. So you have this verification process. We're connecting to OK to Roam. Common Check is the standard that will come after the Common Pass. So this is already almost done, and it will also manage smart health cards and digital corona certificates. So the OK to Roam system, which connects to many labs, and Azova. Azova also is connecting, so we have verifiable data coming from different parts and different lab networks that will make it more standard for the government and the health department to accept, and then to automatically clear travelers directly. So you would have automation, and you would also have what we are working on. So you have this online check-in that comes in, which is very important. We kept expanding the app. We had to keep expanding the app as we already have. It's a small island, so you have to think of scale over here. So we did verifier system that you can act as eliminating paperwork that would say, oh, you are in quarantine or not. So it would be used at the hotels. Hotels would scan their ED process, the ED card QR code, and would receive a no, it's okay or not, connected to the user as a presenter. We started issuing within the health app DCC. And of course, at the border, we were accepting DCC from the very beginning, as it was incorporated by the European Union. We're connections with multiple labs, which is also important. As you say, we do handle outbound traveler also. So you have different laboratories that would use testing travelers and come in. So the health department is very important for the health department to have access seamless towards that data in order to control. Issuing smart health cards at the moment, I think it's very important, especially for the US market. You see the adoption of smart health cards within many different states in the US. So we wanted to start issuing, as we do have tests and smart vaccine credentials that you can transfer to smart health cards. The expansion also of certain things within the health app would come at for nonprofits, as it is becoming a local adopted app as it's being used for tourism, but the local side, especially for the vaccine, it's directly connected to your vaccine records. The nonprofits would come in as more as a portal, so you would have access to different services from their end. ED card integrations, which is something that we have been working on for a while, has to do a lot with different laws and different departments, but the integration of the ED card within the app would make also that you would say, oh, you want to come to Aruba, you should just download the app, and you would have all the information and directly connect it to come to the island. As a local adoption moves along, we will also have a main health portal, I think it will go into. As local, the single payer insurance and the local doctors see the benefit of using the direct connection to their clients, which is also very important for the health department, especially. The usage of the health app has been very well. Again, it was part of COVID. It was very pushed on to use on the travelers right away. Come to Aruba, you have to register. Did you take your test? Use the app. So you would have, although it was not only for travel, but you would have the usage up. The addition of the vaccine pushed the local usage very high, which is a continuing usage as they keep checking or issuing DCC within the app itself. They also use it for the testing, which is very important, that you show up, you scan, and you receive your test. The Aruba Health app, although the name is much bigger than just an app on your phone, of course, a cloud-based system. It connects very parts of different entities, different ways that we had to acknowledge or do certain exchange of data. We use AWS for a lot of most parts. There's always data structure change. From we started very slow. We didn't expect usage or how long. You never know how long the pandemic was going to last. So they had to do a lot of different structure changes. Data protection, very important, the DPIAs. And right now, as it grew from just a project and now more entities, more connectivity towards, and the world is moving past, so you do have more of the project managed PMO starting for the health app system itself. And how do we deal with funding at this moment? So these are issues that we do concern as, again, it is a product of COVID, as COVID is moving away slowly, moving away. What are the benefits to keep or not in predominantly less COVID way? So the structuring of data, structuring management, and fraud was a lot of parts of what we deal with security and different things like this. We do have different sections, and again, you have to think of scale from the other presenters also. The user management structure has been important. And yeah, I put it this part, the data protection is in your hands, as you see a lot of you see attacks, of course, on Keycloak basically, but more of anything that we found is access control on different users, on our admins itself, protection of the user data, and how to correlate it. The health, the user management is so important because you do with personal test vaccine, especially the DCC, you run GDPR laws. There are different things that you have to adhere to. So more of that came from a lot of international appeal. You have a DCC, you have everybody that helps you. We have CETA. We have international partners that are helping us. But it does come back to how we see it as controlling administrators also. The fraud that we have encountered or with legal and different things that comes from administrators themselves. I think we've seen this in the entire world happening. And it's comes from mostly that side on at the moment. But I think others will say this, but cybersecurity and access will not go away. So it just becomes more and more in many ways as we keep seeing it. This project is important also as it came from COVID in many ways, but it does come into the e-government part as ask any expert and they will tell you finance and health. You need the adoption of, you need finance and health in order to have this e-government work and be adoptable by not only entities, but also many users. So the health adoption within Aruba Health app is apparent. And I think we should keep taking as much benefit as comes. And of course, the user certification that we're going through with, if you have the single pay insurance connected to something like this, you would also have certification run through them as they are a registry also on the island. I think I finished a little bit earlier, but as a product of COVID, I have to say again, it's really started from that need in the beginning of about 2 years ago now, and collaboration. A lot of collaboration between different departments, different entities, different government, non-government, NGOs, so that help a lot of the flow of information in order to have this on a small island again. But we need to keep innovating, and that's for sure. And so I know it's a different look on direct cybersecurity here, but I just wanted to give a nice outlook on the health app. And if you have any questions, yes.